All right, welcome back. This is the second course of our Rhino classes. This time with better lighting. Slowly upgrading here, guys. And today we are going to focus a little bit about what it is to draw in Rhino and what everything that you are drawing is and means, if that makes any sense. So we have here a big file with some things happening already. And as you can see, it's a nice kind of X-ray view. We talked about this last time, and the first thing we should go ahead and do is turn all of our viewports into shaded. You can already see here, big difference. So we are not seeing through the objects anymore when we turn on the shaded view, but we instead are seeing them as a solid 3D object. Very good. And let's go to the top view now and focus a little bit more about what's going on here. So I wrote some text that just illustrates what's going on, but this is a point. This exactly is a point, and this is the most basic object or unit of something that you can have in Rhino. Well, it doesn't really do much on its own, but everything is composed of points or something in between points. If you're curious how to make a point, well, you can type on your keyboard point, and the dialog with Rhino begins again. Location of point object you choose in the viewport. There we go. We have 2 points. And everything that would happen in between 2 points or a series of points, so from here to here to here, would be a curve. So a curve is a line, straight or curved, it doesn't matter. Everything is a curve between two or more points, actually. I should add that there. But yeah, everything here is a curve. And some of these are clearly a curve. This is very much a curve, but this would also be a curve. Everything that is a distance between a series or of two or more points would be a curve. And the thing about these curves and lines is that there are two types. So let's scooch over here. We have open curves and closed curves. So an open curve means that there is no boundary between the endpoints. So between here and here, there's nothing that is connecting them. Same with this kind of staircase and this wiggly shape and of course this straight line. However, these, you can see they are still points, but they are connecting to each other at some point at the end. I mean, I don't know where does it start, where does it end, but it doesn't matter. The point is, all of the points are connected between each other. And that is very important because when we jump into the next type of object, which is a surface, most of the times you will need a closed curve to be sure that a surface can happen. And how do I know what is what? Well, I don't remember if we touched into this in the last course, but when you click on an object, the command line here above shows you what you're selecting. So this is an open curve. If I click here, you can see here it's a closed curve. So keep in mind that the further we go into 3D, the more things have to be closed. Not specifically, but to work well, they need to be closed. Since we have a bunch of objects here, it's maybe a good time to show you how to select things. So it's quite clear that when you put your mouse over an object and you left click, so left click, you will select this object and it will have this nice gold yellow outline. That means you are now manipulating this selected object. Well, what if I want to select more than one? Well, that's also very easy. You hold Shift key on your keyboard, and you left click to select a series of objects. Wonderful. What if I only want to select objects that are kind of curvy? Well, you can, instead of holding Shift, you can hold Control or Command in MacBook to deselect an object. So let's get rid of all these uh, sharp guys. Well, if I don't like my selection anymore, I can click outside. If I don't want to select everything by hand, what if I don't want to shift click everything? Well, you can also click and drag to create a selection box. And in Rhino, there's actually two kinds of selection boxes. The one that that I just showed you now is from dragging your mouse from right to left. So you see that the outline has this dotted pattern. That means that anything that this box will touch, it's going to select. You see they're all selected. However, if I drag from the left side to the right side, only the objects that are completely inside this rectangle will be selected. So you see the rectangle was over the pentagon and the circle. However, it was only touching a little bit and almost all of the square. However, it will only select these two objects, as opposed to dragging from the other side, which I can even not fully select anything. And if I let go, I will select all of them. And when you have all of them selected, you can gumball as usual to manipulate more than one thing at once. Here are some commands that you can try yourself now. I will kind of give you a break, so I'll just pretend I'm waiting and then I'll pick up back the video. But you can just type these in the command line and see how it goes, and then we try them out together. So, welcome back. Uh, yeah, let's try these commands. So the first one is line. So I'm going to type all of them. I'm not going to use the icons on the side. So let's start with line. Again, it's always the conversation with Rhino. Start of a line. Let's do here to here. Oh, and maybe for some people this was already happening, but I can only go either left or down or right or up. And I got them flipped, but that's okay. What is going on? So that is because of the ortho option. If I turn off ortho, then you can see I am now going any angle that I want. And I can still see that I'm grid snapping. If you want to turn that off, you can also click to grid snap, and then here I have a very smooth cursor. However, I do like grid snap. Let's leave ortho out. And I will click to confirm. I have my line. A step further would be a polyline, which is the same as the line. However, when I click my first point and my second point, it lets me go ahead and do more points. And I can go until I am happy with it. And I can either press enter to stop my command here, or I can simply go back to the first point and it will make a closed curve and end the command for me. So line, polyline, all great. There's also the rectangle, first corner and the second corner. Again, you could always find the icon here on the side menu. This is rectangle, it will do exactly the same thing. We have a circle, same thing. And again, when you type circle, now it is asking me to choose the center of a circle, which is here. And then now I am doing it by radius, but I could also go here and click area. I don't know, 30 millimeter area, and then I'm locked. If I type my number, I'm locked. That's the same thing that would happen if you were doing a line. So let's go back to a polyline. If I want to make a line that is 10 millimeters, I can also type on the keyboard 10, and it will lock in all directions a 10 millimeter line that I can then click. And if I want now 15, it will go from there, and then I can freehand and so on. What do we have next? A polygon. So a polygon is a shape that has equal sides dimensions. So this is a very famous hexagon. If I don't like hexagons, maybe I like pentagons. I can select on my command line the number of sides and I can change it. Maybe let's go a bit crazy. Let's go 12 sides. Double. So we're gonna double it and make this dodecagon. Is that right? Maybe I'm wrong. But here we have something that is almost a circle. And a further step from a polygon would be a star. But let's go back to 6 perhaps, and I click on the center. It looks the same as a polygon, but when I click, it will let me inset the sides to create this very nice star shape. Next would be the arc, which, just like a line, it's a distance between 2 points. However, I select, in this case, the center of my arc, then the start, and if I move my mouse, you can see it starts to create the circumference of a circle. However, because it's an arc, I can stop somewhere. So this is a piece of a circle. And I could actually go crazy here and make a circle myself, which is just a full 360 arc. Um, and last but not least, we have these guys. How can we make these guys? So that's by using this. Um, it's the first option, control point curve and interpolated curve. I like the interpolated curve a little bit more because it is more intuitive for me. So you click the first point and then you click the second point. Still looks like a line, but when I click the second one, you can see that where I pick my next point, it will create a curve in between these 3 points. And I can go on and on and on to create here this interesting shape. The control point curve is a little bit similar. However, it will create a kind of an anchor point here to create my curve. So it's a bit counterintuitive because you have to click somewhere outside of your line to create this result. It does make it a bit smoother than this, but yeah, it is a bit, I don't really like it. I like the interpolated curve a bit more. So now that we went through it together, you can have a break or maybe try it out yourself again. And maybe for this video, this is it. Let's stop right here and I will continue this in episode number 3. So I will see you there. Thank you for the attention. See you in the next video or maybe in class next week.